real. I lived off of the internet. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I was able to sell my art on Instagram.
Woo!
You know, and live in paradise for years. So actually, for anyone who's never been, I can put the code to get your first time for free.
Y'all just got hooked
There you
up.
go. So come check it out.
You're so lucky.
Yeah.
Clinky.
Love.
Woo.
Gentle.
Clinky.
Clinky, love.
And halfway through, I forgot the words.
Oh, no.
And I stopped and I said shit into the microphone.
Oh, no.
And the whole school starts laughing.
Erupting with laughter.
And then they close the curtains on me.
Welcome to Disciplined Stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness.
To think that we started this podcast to fight a stigma, only to uncover so much love that we realized that you can't put your energy anywhere but what you want.
Look deeper. Feel more. Tune in.
So much love. The Disciplined Stoners,
We're not here to distract ourselves.
the gateway drug to mindfulness.
We're here to learn. We're here to grow.
And welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And today, okay, side note with me right away. I promised you guys as an audience that I'm going to tell you why the fuck I'm like this. And the characters that continue to drive me to the light and inspire me. He is one of my secret Pokemon that would definitely be on my elite list of mindfulness. Our next guest today is, as a recent, I'm going to say, a professional guide, okay, in mindful capacities. You've always been a spiritual, energetic guide, just as a guy, whether you knew it or not. He's a musician. We know each other from time, very special moments of just creative, grounded music making together. I could go on. He does several things. He's been on some great travels. He's also just accidentally a connoisseur of our favorite plant. Please get your joints up and get your hearts glowing for our homie, your new friend, Erik Shramek!
What's happening, everybody?
Love.
Oh my God, what an intro.
Thanks, bro.
We.
That's a quarter of what I want to say about you.
So, yeah, okay, so
We love you.
You left town. You skipped town.
As you do.
6 years ago or something like that.
Even more than that.
And we'll get into it, but we found you this summer, maybe 2 months ago, on Queen Street. Walking down Queen Street, we were coming from Trinity, and I was like, is that Erik?
Yeah.
My whole being was like, my life is about to change.
Manifested you like a mirage out of nowhere from the city streets of Toronto, and you were walking with a wise men pack of people.
Yeah.
Like you were with Raul and another homie. Sorry to cut you off.
You were one of the most authentic,
Yo.
I want to, for lack of a better word, I want to say kind, but it's so much more deep than
Deeper,
that.
grounded.
I've never felt any type of judgment from you
About anyone,
but also about anything. You go, you're just you let life move through you, and it shines so brightly in your personality. So, thank you.
We're
for
gonna
being
attack you with
here.
love right away.
We love you.
On the record, we're just gonna beat this shit out of you with love immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to say about that. First of all, I definitely have thoughts about things. I have criticisms about things, but I don't always just spew them all over the place the way that some people do. Maybe that's the difference, right? But definitely, my mind's full of all kinds of criticisms.
Of self of everything.
Of myself, of others. It's a nice mix, nice
But you
melange,
don't let it take over.
Well, I try. Then the other thing is that story you're telling about how we're walking down the street and we run into each other. I just want to let everybody know what the first thing is that you said to me when you came up to me. You just came up to me and said, I love you. And my heart was just meow. So sweet. So really, what a pleasure, what an honor to be here with both of you as well.
Oh, bless brother.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
you.
No, you call us on that thing we say about if you love someone, tell them. And I think we had just had like quite somewhat of an emotional experience, or we were getting over something, or we were talking about it, or we were figuring something out, and you were like a reflection of our vibration having have just reached a good enough place, if you will, to I think you were like a symbol. This is so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some tea
let's-
going because
Can
y'all
you tell us about this?
y'all are smoking your joints and I want to drink some tea.
Yeah.
So I brought some really nice tea for us today.
Can you tell us when you got into tea? Because your tea is a whole process, and I know a few people that find like rituals around tea making. But I'd love to know when this started for you.
Sure. So this started a couple of years ago. I spent the last few years living in Mexico, and a very dear friend of mine named Chen, who actually makes amazing, beautiful clothing. Maybe we can we just, her link is at the bottom of
Sure.
the screen. There we go, right there. Shout out to Chen.
Our co-producer of the show, Erik Shramek.
very special human.
Yeah, let's see her dope shit.
Yeah, she, was born and grew up in China, and so drinking and preparing tea was just a normal part of her life. And so then, being a friend of hers, when we would hang out, she would start making tea, and so I got to.
Shout out Chen.
Yeah, I was exposed to this like beautiful world. So today we are going to drink. I'm probably gonna pronounce this wrong, but it's called Dongfang Mirin, and
Is that black tea?
so this is an oolong, and what's interesting about it is that it is. They call it like bug-bitten tea,
Okay.
and so when it's growing. There are these little insects that come and start chewing on the leaves.
Yeah.
And this, so in its defense, the plant will start to produce certain types of terpenes,
Oh!
right? Which then, get this, it doesn't repel the bugs, it attracts a certain type of spider that eats the bugs. Crazy, right?
Oh my
And-
god!
and
Just
so-
make friends with the big homie on the block instead of trying to fight the little fucks yourself.
Right? And
Holy shit, that's strategy on a molecular level from a plant.
And what's amazing about it is that for our benefit, it makes the tea particularly sweet. It gives it this like really nice flavor. And so it's kind of like a special thing. And
You're a special thing. That's fucking amazing.
that's
Nature-
besides the point.
No, it is the point today. No, just kidding.
but yeah,
Nature
so
blows my mind.
Yeah, nature blows the mind.
And plants specifically, I think we're learning a lot more about plants and how they are quite intelligent.
oh yeah, big time.
What are you doing here?
Okay, so yeah, so the first
Are we gonna drink what's in here?
no. So the
Why are
fir-
you throwing the tea away?
So the first
He's just
steep,
jumping.
they call it the wash, right? It's like you rinse the leaves. You also start to wake them up and like.
To white people, it's also called the good stuff. Shit. So you got some real OG knowledge coming through.
I mean,
So hold on.
there's lots more to know. That's
Are we
for
gonna
sure.
drink
So we're
this?
gonna drink this. This
Okay.
is the first round. And what's beautiful about this method of preparing tea? So this is called gong fu cha. Gong fu like kung fu, like the martial art. It just means, as far as I understand, doing something with care, doing something very well, like attention to detail. It's like doing something with excellence.
Oh, well,
Right?
that is in alignment with the show. Like, when I say disciplined stoners, I do mean a discipline in terms of, like, a craft or, like, giving great care to something. Yes.
Absolutely. And you can actually extend that into anything in your life, right? And so gong fu cha, cha meaning tea, is like preparing tea with care, doing it well, right? And
The way
so
you do one thing is the way you do everything.
this, exactly this. Love it. So the method here is short steeps, like 30 seconds or less, many times. You know, small vessel, more tea than you would usually use. Hit it with the water. Pour it into what they call the gong dao bei, which is the justice cup, so that we all get the same amount of steeped in our tea, right?
love that
and then
concept.
and then you do it many times, you know. So all throughout the session, we're just gonna keep on pouring water into this and enjoying, and we get to actually watch the progression of the tea. You know, it's like it's gonna be great.
It's beautiful.
So
Is there
cheers.
a proper way to receive this from
Ooh,
you?
that's hot.
Um,
What's the way to cheers? Do we say
So-
clinky?
sure, clinky,
Love.
woo,
Gentle.
clinky.
Clinky, love.
But really, it's just
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's nice.
it's just available. I'm just gonna keep on pouring and filling up the cups. If you don't want it, you just leave it. You know,
abundance.
we're just gonna keep on
Wow.
drinking,
This has quite a powerful taste for such a short steep.
right?
And a second run.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God. Don't you
there
love
like
that
a-
vibe? What a vibe right now. This is such a vibe right now. Holy.
So
What-
this
what-
is. Sorry.
Do you know what terpenes? Because this feels familiar.
Spidey terpenes.
I wish I knew. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It kind of is giving me like
We'll look it up
a
and
chamomile. I don't know. I love it though. It feels familiar. It doesn't feel
it
like.
feels spider bitten. I'm just kidding. It feels.
Can I ask you guys a quick
Is this-
question that's
is-
totally
please.
off topic?
Is this the
Absolutely.
Toby Maguire of tea?
One time I posted a spider on my Instagram story, and someone came at me and said that I should put a post before the spider picture that says, heads up, there's a
Like a
spider
trigger
on.
warning?
Like a trigger warning.
Too sensitive.
Wow.
It's nature. Too sensitive. It's nature.
And then I actually didn't, and I for a while I was posting, because I love spiders. I think spiders are so interesting and.
So were you posting enough spiders that you like made a habit out of like putting trigger warnings before you posted spiders on Instagram?
I guess
Like-
for a while, maybe after I got that, I felt a bit like triggered myself, like because I used to get triggered when I'd like do something wrong, you know,
Interesting.
quote unquote wrong.
Sure.
And so I think maybe I did post more spiders in like almost spite of this person,
Right,
but
nice.
also to show
Love that.
That
I'm
you can
taking
learn,
their
you know? Yeah.
feedback and that. So,
Word.
but I just posted. I didn't actually post, and I thought of this recently because there's a walkway. You might know it. It's the Fort York walkway, and in the
Okay.
summertime, it becomes Spider Alley because they have lights down the entire walkway.
Yes, I've seen
you can
this.
see the scary
It's
shadow.
amazing.
It's
I
amazing.
love it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to do. They weren't as solid, as stable this year as they've been in past years because I wanted to do like a walkthrough through this and just see all of the shadows and the spiders. And so I took a insane photo, I'll show it to you after, of the CN Tower and the light on this bridge with a giant spider shadow.
Yo, I love
It
that.
was
That's
sick.
amazing.
Yeah, I loved it so much. And someone got really scared again. Like they were like, "Ooh, I like not like don't do that." They were just like, I didn't expect that.
you
And
should have given
that
me
freaked
warning."
me out. Not even that. Just like it freaked me out. And then I thought about this person who told me to trigger warning on stories.
Well-
I don't know. I bet you got to live your life a little bit.
You know, the way that I feel about it, I have a lot of different feelings about it. I think in some ways there's definitely value in like caring for the people around us, you know? It's like,
This is what I'm talking about, you guys.
well, it's like if people are like, yo, like I've been traumatized by blah, 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 like please can you like be more sensitive about this? It's like, who's gonna, like, what do you say to that? It's like, okay, like it's like if I care about you, then I'm gonna try to take care of you, right? But then at the same time, like, basically what this person is saying is that it's your fault that they got triggered by something that like it can't actually really like harm them, at least physically, certainly, which is like where I imagine the fear of spiders would come from, is that you're afraid they're going to bite you or something, you know, but it's through a screen. So it's like just kind of like dumping all the responsibility for like their reaction on you.
There's a
I don't know about
balance.
that. I don't know about that,
'cause
yeah.
With our loved ones too, wouldn't you want to be like, hey, yes, I do want to take care of you, but like maybe this is something that we should explore further, because I feel that I don't want to see you limited in the world.
Right.
And
And also you want to be able to express yourself and post cool artistic
Things that you
photos and
find
videos
neat.
of spiders,
Yeah,
right?
because that nurtures me in some way.
Right. It boils down to one of these, like, you know, I have the freedom to, like, swing my fist up until the point that it connects with your face, right? You know, it's like that's my freedom until I'm hurting someone else.
Right.
And then, like, am I really free to do that anymore or not?
It
right?
would be considered like dangerous behavior. I just think like people not taking responsibility for their own emotions like that is absolutely outrageous. The expectation for somebody to adhere to your sensitivities is wild. And it's just like, where's the threshold of like literally being bullied in reverse? Like it's like you're just like it's like stretching and someone going it's like, bro, I was just stretching, bro. I'm not fucking gonna hit you, man. Like, you know, and someone's going, oh no! And then they're like, get rid of that one. I get that a lot as like the loud, obnoxious, positive guy. Like people are like, get out of here.
It's like, this guy's too much.
Too much. And so it's like, I just understand it from like an extreme level of being
Sure.
the antagonist.
And they're allowed to make those choices.
Yeah, let
and
them
like,
be sensitive too. That's fine.
Yeah.
But to reach out and say, hey, you have to change your behavior for my comfort, that's like Hitler level control.
That's hard.
That's hard. I'm sorry. I hate
That's a big statement.
That's a big statement. But I'm saying what that's like narcissistically the world needs to follow me. Like that level thinking. I'm talking the guy, not the events. Like that level of narcissism, I think, especially on the internet. You know the internet is high school.
Yeah.
Like, you know this is where people go to go, like,
Yeah.
spiders, dicks, boobies, fuck me, fear. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything is shit is there. Like,
For sure.
How is your relationship with, the internet? That's the question. But I also just want to highlight when you said that's a big statement and, like, what a beautiful way to respond to something that maybe you don't vibrationally agree with exactly what was said, but
you handle things so well.
yeah, but you don't attack
Interesting.
and say it's wrong. So I just like it, that's what this theme already.
You're balanced.
yeah.
You don't put me down. You just say, I'm maybe not going to attach myself.
It's like I call into question, maybe. You know?
Yes.
But you're a good friend like that internally, too. You don't just do that when it's public facing.
Yeah.
When we seen each other on Queen and I was having a moment, you said to me, you're like, hey, bro, may I reflect something to you? And I shared that with Winnie, and she's like, well, what would he have done elsewise if I couldn't have the capacity? You said something brilliant, like, do you have the capacity to receive some information right now? Because I haven't seen you in like fucking 8 years. And you told me about my vibration. And like how perhaps I've healed or something. And it was a beautiful thing. And I told Winnie, she's like, what would he have done? I'm like, no, Eric's the dude, man. He would, if you said, no, I can't handle that right now, he'd be like, awesome. I'm still going to keep this exactly as mint condition as I would. Put it in your back pocket and move on. It's like you've pre-thought about some situations where humans, myself included, are a little sloppy sometimes when it comes to just going, like, I jab back so fast. I'm like a New York City cab driver. I'm like someone hits me once, I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like, but you're so at this balanced place. Like, how long did it take to fucking prepare your mind like that? Like,
Wow. I mean, I think that was just a reflection of the fact that I feel very passionate about the importance of consent, you know? And so like and you know, like the context that we usually talk about consent is in like our sexual relationships, but like I'm like extending that even more so just to like how we like emotionally like interact with one another and like, you know, in conversation and it's just nice to check in with people, you know? It's just nice to be like, hey, it's like I have some thoughts about something you just said. It's like, do you want to hear it? You know? Because, okay, so I think where it comes from for me in some ways as well in that context is that I don't like to have to fight to be heard.
ooh,
It's like I don't want to like have to like play this kind of game with people where I'm shouting over you to like say my bit or whatever. It's like fuck that. It feels like a waste of energy to me because I feel like even if I manage to get my words out, no one's actually listening, you know? And so it's a nice way to just like sort of like prime the space. It's like,
Yes,
hey, like are you
prime.
open to listening to what I have to say? you know? And then if people are like, yes, it's like, boom. It's like, then you have like you have their attention on a silver platter,
Yo.
right?
You're a mushroom
You know?
trip in a human form. Holy shit.
I don't even know what to say to that. No, it's just, you know, and it's funny because, you know, you both have been sort of mentioning how I have a certain, like, approach to how I relate to people, right?
Will you tell me when this needs to get more water
Sure.
in it?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Yeah.
What a nice host. But I feel like what I've been recognizing in myself is that I actually have, like, a lot of, like, people-pleasing tendencies that I've been, like, trying to sort of sift through and, you know, unload the things that aren't actually helpful to me.
Oh.
And so I think a lot of this behavior is actually, like, rooted in that, like, trying to, like, not make waves and, like, not make, like, tension, you know? And then realizing
funny how we're friends and you guys are both like that, and I am like a wave. I'm not near a wave, I am a
You're
wave.
good. You're a great teacher for what
Oh,
like
yeah,
we
you
want
guys
to
need
achieve.
to learn to shove shit around sometimes. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
I'm
it's
just
all
like-
good. I mean, it goes both ways, right? It's like I
I'm
also
learning from
have
you.
recognized that, like, that doesn't really help me a lot of the time because it means that I'm, like, burdening myself with, like, not expressing myself, right? This
What
is
doesn't
like
help you? Sorry.
to not make waves, right? Like,
Yes.
it's like this, like, sort of quiet, meek, like, thing, like, is actually terrible, you know? And so I've been
Yes.
really working on, like, okay, so how do I, like, strike the balance of being able to express myself in a way that allows me to, like, not bottle shit up, because that just, you know, turns into fucking cancer in your body, right? You
No
know?
bueno.
Literally, right?
Bueno.
It's like you don't want to let that, like,
Fester.
basically emotions, yeah, like, fester and ferment inside of you.
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, like, I don't want to be shitting on the people around me. It's like what's a way that I can give people feedback that, like, I'm experiencing friction around something that they say or that they do or whatever, in a way where, like, we can actually, like, find resolution. And so,
Yeah.
like, this thing of, like, hey, can I give you a reflection? Simple question. It's like that person, one, it, like, clocks them into a space where they're like, whoa, I'm about to, like, hear something.
Yeah.
It's like, and also it's like, am I ready to receive something like
Yeah.
that? And then if they say yes, then it, like, opens up the space for us to actually begin, like, some sort of meaningful, helpful, you know, conversation around whatever the topic is, you know? And that time that I saw you, I wasn't saying anything bad to you, but I also just think, like, in those moments, it's nice to be like, hey, are you ready to receive a reflection? You know? It's like, whoa, no, like, I just, you know, smoked a fat spliff and I'm not
Yeah.
ready to hear anything right now. It's like, cool, no problem.
You would
know?
have been cool with that. I truly do feel that. You would have
For
been like
sure.
frozen in time exactly with the same good energy, and I'll see you next Thursday.
Hopefully I would have remembered it. That's the thing, you know?
But I was ready, and what
Yeah.
you said did blow my mind, so thank you.
Right on.
I
What's
have
up,
two
Winnie?
questions. There's actually, I have like a bunch of shit going on in my brain right now, but I'd like to ask you what, through this process of, what has the unloading process been like? What does that look like for you? And also, have people expressed the consent to receive, and then after it's been received, has kind of been like, I realize now after the statement has been said that I am not ready to receive this. Has that
Sure.
has that happened?
Yeah, that's definitely happened for sure, and that's okay. It's like you know, because it's sort of like a blind throw. It's like, hey, I'm gonna say something. Are you cool with that? You know? It's like after the fact they can be like, whoa, that's actually a lot. I can't handle it, and that's fine. You know, I mean, it's so contextual.
Has that ever? Because I'm thinking of someone, like, if someone came up to me and said, "Do you have the capacity for this?" I guess it kind of depends on my relationship with them. But
Sure.
if I was less than best friends with them, I might just be like, "Yeah, what's going on?" Do you know what I mean? Without actually checking in with myself if I'm ready to receive or not.
Sure.
And so I think that sometimes that I could be like, I could react.
You're like, yeah, and then you're like,
Like,
whoa,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, but probably not even take responsibility in that moment. Be like, fuck you. Like, why would you think this is okay to say? When
Interesting.
really, when I have space and time from it and I can look at it in a different way, I could be like, hey, number one, wasn't ready to receive that. Number two, whoa, I should, like, let me look at this now when there's a little bit of time in between it.
Well, that's great then. It's like it doesn't all have to happen now,
Yeah.
right? It's like
That's the thing.
it's okay to take time, and also that's like nice that you would be able to come back around and be like, okay, actually I can look at this. Whereas like, some people, I think, don't have enough practice to even do that. It's like the spider thing. It's like instead of being like, whoa, this is like triggering for me, maybe I should look at like why just an image on my screen that like clearly cannot hurt me is like having this like emotional impact on me, and like, do I want to live my life like that, right? They're just like, you are bad. It's like, you must filter yourself and like give me disclaimers every time you post anything that's like potentially challenging for me. It's like, so it's just it's a self-awareness thing.
Yeah. Love that. That's gonna be a clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are we like editing this, or is this just like a straight run?
It's
like,
a straight run.
Okay,
but
cool.
then we edit for Instagram.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and YouTube Shorts as well. I don't know if you know
The
those.
clips
Okay.
are edited for like time format, not for like changing the combo in any way.
Sure. Yeah. No,
But if, like, you say
I don't
something-
imagine I'm gonna get like manipulated by you guys into
Yeah.
sounding like I'm racist or something. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad
no.
we got that Hitler bit.
You know what's,
It's just gonna be you being like, yeah, Hitler, cool. I'm Hitler, cool. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
That's just why.
Don't ever do
Fuck,
that.
someone's out there's gonna fuck us now
For
with
me.
that clip.
I don't care.
Dang.
That's
No,
great.
I'm just kidding. We've actually had a lot of people
Do you
be
have the
like,
capacity to receive something right now, guys? Fuck you. Just kidding.
oh gosh. We've had a lot of people tell us to be more clickbaity, and I've played around with it, if I'm being honest, in a way that can still feel like authentic to me. More so with my stand-up clips, but I'm trying to just be like, what's a title that will engage people to press? So I guess that is clickbaity, but we're not being like, hey,
No,
It's like,
dude.
you won't believe what this guy had to say about something that doesn't come up in the entire show. You know? Like,
No, you know what we heard all year from the older men in our life? You guys should talk about Gaza.
yeah.
This should get you views. Talk about the Gaza Strip. Why, there's a war going on. Why don't you talk about that? And I'm just like,
No.
yo, that's not how you build a thing. That's not how you get
Well,
real
it
fans.
is if you're a journalist.
right.
But a journalist who even talks about that, if you're a journalist who covers bakeries and all of a sudden you're doing content
sure.
on like the hot news war that week, I disagree. I think like, anyway, who cares what I think? I'm not a fucking journalist.
Okay, so I do want to get back to the other question that I had, is that you're experiencing sort of, I guess, looking at yourself and the ways in which some of your passive behavior might not be benefiting you. And you're figuring out how to unload what doesn't benefit you. Trying
Yeah.
to, and you're in that process. I just want to know what that looks like, because same. Like
When he's
always.
literally like, you dove in the pool, is it cold? That's like you asking him these questions. You're like, what's it like?
Yeah, well, just personally, I'm just working
Sure.
on that too. I really resonate with what you say, and I could use some help.
Okay, so one of the biggest things, okay, yeah, like we're talking about the people pleasing thing, and
Yeah.
like, being able to like, so for me it really boiled down to like being able to say no to things, right? It's like reclaiming my no, and like helping myself to start to understand that like, it's like if I say no to somebody, that doesn't mean that they're gonna like love me less.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, and so when you start looking at that, okay, so something that a friend of mine said that was super powerful, that really like, boom, like smashed me, is she said, I love when people say no to me because it helps me trust when they say yes. It's like, if someone can't say no to you, then you don't actually really know where they stand.
Yeah.
You know? And if you want to be able to trust someone, you want to know that, like, their yes is real because...
You don't want yes men around.
Well, exactly. You know? And so that was really beautiful for me. And that helped me start to, like, love when other people say no to me. Mm-hmm. Right? That it's like, okay, if someone says no to me, they're saying yes to themselves, right? Mm. They're like taking care of themselves. And if I can love that, if I can, like, really support that and, you know, like, lift that up, then it actually, in this roundabout way, helped me, like, with my relationship with saying no to other people. It's like the more that I was able to, like, love other people for saying no to me,
the no's.
The more that I felt confident to be able to say no to others as well. And that's, like, a really interesting, like through the back door kind of, like, approach to it that has been really helpful for me.
Not just accepting the no's, actually kind of celebrating them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, like celebrating people finding their own boundaries.
Yeah,
right?
like a word that kind of grosses me out is tolerance. It's like, yo, that's another human form doing their thing, yo. You should be like, 10-10, cheer you on, do your thing, have fun. You know?
Would you say that...
Word.
In previous time before this exploration, when someone said no to you, is that something that would trigger inside of you as like a self-worth thing?
Yeah, I would feel rejected.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when you started exploring this work, when someone would say no to you, is that a dialogue of like, that doesn't mean they love me less? Or like, is that inner dialogue? Is that just sitting with the discomfort maybe? What is
like,
that?
Like practically what did it
Yeah.
look like? So, I mean, the space that I really started like exploring and like practicing this stuff was in like kink spaces, like kink workshops and stuff like that. You know?
Amazing.
Yeah, and so we would like do these like particular exercises that were exactly about this. It was about like you know, like working with like yeses and nos and like working with consent in this very like sort of like visceral way of like, okay, so there was this really cool one
like radical acceptance kind of?
Sort of, but like so there's this like one I don't know, activity, like sort of game, like consent game that I've played a few times in different workshops that I've been to, where you begin, like, okay, people get partnered off, and then you ask someone a question. So maybe it's like, you know, can I touch your shoulder? Something like this, you know? And then the other person takes a moment, like, checks in. It's like,
okay?
what's the actual response coming from my body? You know?
Yeah.
And then the first round of the game is that no matter what the response is, you say no. You know?
Nice.
So, like, you get practice receiving these no's, and then it's like, okay, thank you for taking care of yourself. And, like, just sort of, like, running through, like, what does it look like to actually do this, you know? And then you feel into your body with the second round and see, you know, what's the answer, but then you always say yes. You know? That doesn't mean that you actually do it, but, like, it's like, what does it feel like to say yes to something that actually feels like a no in my body? You know, or like, what does it feel like to say yes to something that feels like a yes in my body? Oh. You know, it's like, and like learning, like, what's the feeling of like playing with these like
Even
things.
when you were like explaining
I
this,
could
I was
feel it.
having feelings in my body.
Yeah.
Whoa!
And then the third round is you feel into your body and you see, is it a yes or a no? And then you give that answer as it is true for you. And then if you want to, then you do the thing, you know?
Yeah.
So you're doing amazing practical experience with these workshops and the inner work on like that visceral level. But if you zoom out and use that wisdom in the approach to your life, you will live a fulfilling, purposeful life. Because if it's not a fuck yes, don't fucking do it.
Exactly.
Don't say it. Don't agree with it. Don't fuck with anybody who does that shit. That's why it's like, how do you ever get mixed up? How do you get mixed up? If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. What?
Can I just say, as someone who's not sure that they want kids yet, I don't fuck fully with that statement.
Oh, like you gotta keep things like open, like you wanna want kids?
I want to want kids.
That's the resistance right there then.
Well, you could say that it's a fuck no today.
Today,
You know, but it's something that changes all the time.
you
right?
will consider.
Yeah.
Or is like in flux, you know? But I think the real value of like this particular game is that you start to feel what it feels like to be in friction with yourself, you know? Because like if you're saying yes to something that feels like a no somewhere in your body, it's like, and you like take a moment to actually tune into what does that feel like, you're familiarizing yourself with that feeling, so that then if you catch yourself out in the world in real life doing that, you could be like, whoa, now hang on a second, like I know that feeling. It's like, you know, it's like you can always edit. You can always come back and be like, I know I said yes to this, but actually, like, I took a moment to feel into it, and I don't feel okay with this. You know, it's like it's like consent is an ongoing conversation, right? It's not just like once you say it once, you frame it, you stick up on the wall, and that's it, and you never get to change your mind. It's like it's always happening now, right?
It's not written in stone.
Exactly.
Bro, we just caught on camera what I'm talking about when I compliment you, where I say you're such a helpful conversation between me and Winnie's world. Like this is like we're the closest with each other ever, but
Yeah.
like you bring a perspective that is so okay in Winnie's world and okay in my world that you actually create bridges between like
Can you live with us?
Eric, what are you doing for the next 20 years? What are you up to for a while?
Oh my God, hilarious.
Will you run our artist compound with us?
I mean, yo, you pay my rent, I'm down. You know?
I was gonna say, the compound, we
I'm
live
down
in it.
for that.
Deal. Our guide every morning, guys. We do yoga with Winnie. We do meditation with Eric. We do flow with me.
Oh my God, that sounds
Speaking of
amazing.
meditation,
Oh yeah, and you're also adventure into.
you've had a very interesting life. I'm just like filing through things that I want to talk about and how long this conversation has already been.
It's gonna be
This
the
could be
longest
one of
episode.
those like, yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We'll get back to it. But I do want to talk about your experience with meditation, if it's something that you do on a daily basis,
Yeah. Cool.
and guiding it as well and leading other
Sure.
people through
And
it.
just real quick shout out, this tea is amazing.
Is it
so
getting
bomb.
dark?
It's
Like,
evolving.
Is it getting darker?
Yeah, it looks more like autumn now.
So, I mean, that might be because I let it steep a little bit longer that time, you know? But, yeah, I mean, we're going to get at least another, like, 5, 6 to 10 rounds out of this.
You're very present with the tea and also very present with us. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's true, though. I do like having just something to do with my hands. That's something.
joints all the time.
That's something I've always, like, ever since I was a little kid. I remember my mom telling me that, like, she was like, you always had a toy in your hand. You always had something that you had to take with you. You always had, like, something in your hand.
You're on the go.
And,
Remember
you know,
Pokemon
what's that, sorry?
Pokemon cards?
I definitely had Pokemon cards.
Are
but
you
yeah.
a Pogs as well?
Oh
Did
man,
you do
Pogs. Pogs were, I believe, the first schoolyard craze that I got into.
Yeah.
It was like right at that perfect time in my life. I think I was 6 years old, grade 1, and Pogs were it, you know? And I was like, whoa, I'm so
I was
deep
right
into
there
this
with
shit.
you.
Are you an 87 kid?
88.
Okay, yeah.
89.
I think
My dad made me a metal
that's real.
slammer with my name on
He
it.
made you a metal
Yeah.
slammer? What? Oh my
It
god.
was nuts.
No fucking
I
way.
got rid of it, and I'm so upset. I'm so upset at like 15-year-old Winnie that was like, what are you going to do with this? But
Right.
I guess 89-year-old Winnie, or whenever I go, isn't going to take it with me, so that's fine.
You
And
won't
I do
need
really
to
have
feel
it in my
attached
memory.
to that, you know? It's like it's there. It's in the heart, you know? But I think I lost my only metal slammer playing with a kid for keeps. And I was so sad. I was like so upset.
Some of our first early heartbreak.
I know, right?
Yeah.
For
'cause
real.
Those things were exciting.
It's true. That's actually, wow, that is like some of my earliest heartbreak. It's true.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Losing our things. Can you imagine that's your first heartbreak, is losing some things?
Well, you know, I heard though that like, you know, okay, I've got the details a little bit fuzzy here. We're gonna need to look this up, but at a certain age in like your young development, your things are perceived as a part of your body. That's why if you like take a kid's like teddy bear or something, they like will lose it because it actually feels like they're like taking something of you. It's like taking your hand away or something, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I remember I heard that or read that somewhere. I don't know. You know,
That's
it's
so
like,
interesting. I
right?
wonder when we clock into...
when that shifts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
a good
pretty
question.
attached to stuff up until...
Last year.
Yeah. Even now, probably, there's always going to be some things that I would be attached to. And spaces. We're talking about leaving our space now, and just how, like, we're ready, but it's going to be heartbreaking.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah.
like walking out of those doors. Oh, but it's nice. It feels so nice actually to have a space that you can like
That
leave
you
and
love.
be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means that you love it if
you.
it hurts.
Exactly. And I think that's okay, you know? Like, that's... It makes me think of, like, grief, right? Like...
Yeah, you're lucky to have loved and lost
I mean-
and not to have loved at all.
Yeah, like grief, they say that the difference between grief and sadness is that grief is love with nowhere to put it, you know? It's like love with nowhere for it to go, you know? And yeah, it's like, you know, if every day you live in this house, right? You like pour all of your love into that space, and then one day you walk out and you never come back. It's like, it's like there's like an absence
Jesus.
of like of like a place to put all this love that you've
Now,
poured
Eric,
into.
what exactly is happening when we move out? Can you explain that again so I can feel it in my stomach?
But like the cool thing is that then you're gonna get to like wake up one day in a new place and like pour all that love towards something new, and that's gonna be like the transition. That's gonna be, you know, like that. I don't know. I don't think you're gonna be grieving over that place for a long time, but it's gonna feel weird when you walk out. You know, you're gonna be like, oh my god, like so many memories here. We've done so much here. Like this place has been so meaningful for me. But and that's okay. That's the thing.
Nice
It's like
to
it's
embrace
beautiful,
that
you know.
grief. Do you know what I
Totally.
mean? Like I feel in the yoga classes that I teach, and then I do want to get into meditation. But when I can feel people wanting to cry in class, and then I feel the immense amount of energy put into not crying
Right.
from them. And I know that's a super vulnerable thing to do, and other people are probably going to look at you just because, like, if you're sobbing, people are going to be like, what the fuck? But also, this is okay. This is like my studio, really safe place to do that. Literally, that's happened before, where a student has sobbed in the back of the room.
Thank you, sir.
And everyone kept doing their yoga practice, and
Yeah.
they let her be, and she, you know, was apologetic at the end, but she was happy that she could do that there.
Yeah. So okay. So this is an interesting thing. Like when people show like challenging emotions to one another, I feel like we often perceive that people are gonna like judge us for that.
Yes.
But we all know what it feels like to cry.
Totally.
We all
so
know
good.
the amazing relief of like letting out
Yes.
a good cry, right?
Yes.
And you know, it's really important to do that, in my humble opinion. You know, and so I think when we judge okay, what am I trying to say? I guess like the people that would judge us are the ones who would judge themselves for crying, you know? Ooh. And so it just shows us like who still is like working on like embracing themselves in a
Yeah.
more full way, right? But then also like for someone to be able to like cry in front of a bunch of people just shows that they love themselves, really, you know, that they like allow themselves to have the experience that's moving through them in the present moment without needing to mask that. And you know what makes me sad is that you said that there are all these people that you can feel that they need to cry but they won't let themselves. It's a lot of self-judgment, you know?
My hope is that they take it home and they
Right.
let it out.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you. I feel for me, like when a cry comes, it's
You
like
gotta let
it's
it.
like now or never. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I can't bring that shit back later. Yeah, I find it difficult to cry sometimes, even though I know that there's so much value to it, you know? So, like...
Did you feel the pressure ever of men don't cry?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you wanted to be the Red Ranger, too. You know all about that.
Of course.
Like, you wanted to be the champion sound, bro.
I was the Red Ranger, bro.
Me too, though. It's weird that I was also the Red Ranger and, like, that you were, too, so it's just weird.
Well, I mean, then I became the Green Ranger when the Green Ranger became cool.
Yeah.
And then I became the White Ranger when the White Ranger became... It's like I was always leveling up with the show, you know?
I agree. Remember when the White Ranger had the truck? Or they got the cars? They got the cars? I think it was like a white Tiger front
Okay, yeah, that makes
car.
sense. Yeah.
Oh, the white one.
You were
was
like,
cool.
I want that
I was
so
happy
bad.
to be pink or yellow.
Yeah.
I would let my other friend choose because I was down with both. I'd be pink and yellow.
For anyone who doesn't recognize what's happening here, Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Actually, right around the same time in my life as Pogs.
Yep.
Yep.
Power Rangers, very important to me. I remember one time, speaking of crying and Power Rangers, I remember one time I was at my friend's, the neighbor's house, and we were watching Power Rangers.
I like
It was
Green
on after
Ranger.
school. It was at like 4 o'clock or something, you know, so enough time to get home and then get in front of the TV and watch Power Rangers.
Yep.
And I was so obsessed with Power Rangers that like, so this, my neighbor's mom came over and was like, oh, like, you know, you've already watched enough TV. We probably watched an episode at 3:30 till 4 or something first. And she was like, no, like TV off, like you've had your TV time. And I ran home crying because it was a new episode that I had never seen before.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
but I've never seen, you know, and like ran home, like left, just like ran to go
That's
watch it.
so
This
good.
is how deeply passionate I was about Power Rangers when I was 6 years old.
Bro, that's so funny.
Was it a far run?
No, right next door.
Good.
I'm going home.
So
Fuck
you-
this shit. This place is garbage. Fuck you, Martin.
I
Your
was like,
mom
I was like,
sucks.
you can't do this to me, like, to me, like.
I'm the Power Rangers guy. I'm the Red Ranger. You can't fuck with me, bro.
But
So
yeah,
at that point, yeah, I wonder if did you think that you were attached to Power Rangers?
Oh, big time. Oh yeah, 100%.
They
It
were
was part
challenging
of
your
your
identity.
essence.
But interestingly, at that time, I was too young to think that boys don't cry. You know,
Ooh, nice.
it hadn't gotten to me yet. You know,
Penetrated, yeah.
That's
And-
nice.
and that's sort of an interesting thing to look at too, because at that time, I remember my my first like 2-wheeler bike was all pink, and because I just thought it was dope, you know, and.
Yeah,
I had never had anyone say to me that pink was a girl's color. It's like, so I didn't know that yet, right? And I had this pink bike, and then I remember someone like making fun of me for having a pink bike, and like the feeling of just being like confused. It's like the shame hadn't like
You were
let
like,
its way in
"What's
yet.
up?" I don't
was just like
you didn't
I was just like
understand.
I don't like, but I didn't know that this was a girl's color. Like I didn't know I wasn't supposed to, you know. It was like, and it was like it was very like shocking for the system. I was just like, whoa, what? Wait, like hang on a second, you know, like yeah, and it's crazy because then, you know, like over the years, like I definitely like internalized a lot of that stuff, you know, and the sort of inherent like violence of it, and then it like took me some time to like untangle that stuff and be like, no, Eric, like it's like you can like whatever colors you want and you can really do whatever you want, and like it's like the things that I love are like. It's like that's between me and then what I love, you know. It's like that doesn't really have anything to do with anyone else, and like, you know, just having more certainty in myself around that kind of thing, right? But it
That's
was
beautiful
it was a
confidence.
fucking journey, right? It was not easy. There's a
So-
lot of shame for a while.
Yeah, fuck. I really resonate with that. So you're learning through tuning into the body, right? Because sometimes I'm like, I don't even know who I am. Like sometimes I get into a rabbit hole of like, I've been fed so much and I accept so much, and I like used to 100% be like chameleon, like let me mold to you so you'll love me.
Yeah.
You know?
Word.
And
Same.
So I think I was always like really like part of my like jack of all trades and never becoming master of like any one thing. is just because I was always pulled in so many different directions. I chose that for my own safety. But then after realizing, like, oh, you can still be safe, you know, I started making decisions. So, like, I did, for example, I did a sexy photo shoot, like something that I thought, you know, I would never do because I would never want someone to think I'm a slut, or like someone to think I'm doing this for attention, or someone to think that I'm whatever, someone to think I'm whatever. Like that's the thing. So I was like, my whole life is built around others and like making sure that I'm conforming to others for safety. So then when I started doing things like a sexy photo shoot and telling my parents I smoke weed and smoking on camera and just things like that, where I'm
all post
making
30
decisions, all post 30, where I'm making decisions that in my body actually make me feel scared, but I almost like have to just see what happens to understand if I know this is a lane for me or not.
Right. I think it's beautiful that you're like giving yourself permission to do those things.
Yeah.
Me
That's
too. It
fucking
feels
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
Stand-up has been huge too.
I bet. Yeah, I need to come hear you do your thing.
Dude,
huh?
for a while I could not stop talking about my vagina. Like
Couldn't
couldn't do it. I was like just all like I
or
was
my
like,
dick.
Let me, or your dick. Yeah.
Welcome
let
to
me-
the Winnie's Vagina Show.
Totally. I was
That's
like,
hilarious.
let me push buttons. I understand why comics get in trouble.
Because it's so fun. Just fuck it.
Well,
Fucking
it's
say
this thing of like I had this thought. Anyone else?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's no one else.
Right, and you're like, oh, that's just me, huh? Okay, cool. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening, everybody. Like,
Yeah. And you get that real-time feedback. And some comics sort of feed on that and want to push those boundaries.
yeah.
I don't even know. I went on a huge tangent, didn't I?
No, that was sick.
It's all good. It's all good.
I do still want to get back to meditation. Would this be a harsh turn? Into
No, I was
meditation?
just about to take it back there too, actually. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you have a specific question around like just what is my relationship with meditation?
What's
or,
your
like-
practice? Morning, get up, 20 minutes.
Yes, I'd like to know when meditation like came into your life. Did it call to you? Have you always been doing it?
Okay. Oh man. Okay. Do I even want to get into the crazy story that was the beginning of? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So
please.
okay. So you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast that I went traveling a while back. It was in January of 2017 that I left Canada. So that's like 4 years ago. 7 years ago. Excuse
Yeah.
me. It's like 4.
Pandemic.
Is incorrect. No, but yeah, about 7 years ago. Yeah, and wow, almost 8 years ago now,
Yeah, yeah.
actually. Dang. Okay.
I nailed that then in the intro. Fuck yeah.
So, I was in Nepal. I mean, I was all over the place, but at this particular time in that journey, I was in Nepal. I was with some people. I had been curious about the idea of doing a Vipassana. Are you familiar with this, with Vipassana?
I am, but for those
Is
who aren't.
this a retreat?
It's
where
like a-
you do nothing.
Yeah, it's a 10-day silent meditation retreat where you're practicing what they call noble silence, which means that not only are you not talking, but you're not making eye contact, and you're just like sending your focus deeper and deeper inside yourself rather than allowing it to be confused and distorted and
Stimulated.
Stimulated, exactly.
Distracted.
Exactly. And you do, I believe it's 10.5 hours of meditation a day.
Yeah. So you leave this form basically, kind of.
Well,
You don't
maybe,
leave the form, but
maybe
you,
if you're
like-
lucky.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
huge ego there.
yeah.
Like,
What?
for me, like if I sat for 10 hours, I would have a war inside my mind, 100%. That would happen if
Yeah.
I sat for an hour.
Yeah.
At about 35 minutes in, I'd start to be like, okay, like, let's fucking go, or like, what the fuck? What am I doing?
I mean, it's a crazy, challenging thing to do if you're not used to that kind of thing. That's for sure.
And are you sitting the entire time?
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you can stand and meditate, that's cool.
Like Vipassana is like pretty strict in terms of like what the expectations are, and it's like you're sitting, you know.
I'm just being silly.
No, all good, all good. But
Can you
so,
switch up the stance, or is Lotus the stance?
I mean, you can switch, yeah, for sure. They like encourage you to not switch like in like the middle of like one of the hour sessions, you know. That you sort of like pick one and stick with it, but then also it's like if you need to move, you need to move. It's like there's recognition that it's hard, but that's why they're so strict as well. Is that they're like this is hard, so we're gonna like put sort of pressure on people to like really do it
to understand
as
that
much
there's
as
going to
possible,
be
you know?
extreme discomfort most likely, and that's part of it.
Sure.
You said
so
hour
okay.
session. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
There's like.
So there's
every
like
hour, there's a bell.
Something like this, and like you know you would sit for an hour, or maybe like there are some 2-hour like blocks throughout the day, and then have a meal perhaps, or like then there's like a break at one point, or even just like get up, go get some water, use the bathroom, come back in 10 minutes, and we start our next sit. And like, you know, like they're usually in like hour-long segments.
Are they
sometimes
serving,
2 hour long.
Are they serving brisket, barbecue? Straight?
No, but the food was fucking banging. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We're getting ahead of ourselves because at this time, so I was curious about Vipassana, but I was scared about the idea of doing like that much. I was like, whoa, too much, you know? And so I met up with some friends and we were talking about it, and it's like I met this guy in a cafe in this little town in Nepal, Pokhara, you know, and I had been living there for a few months, and like we just started talking about how like it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we did our own like meditation retreat? And we were like, okay, so what would that look like? Like maybe we could do like we go to the next lake over. It's called Begness Lake. It's like this super nice place. Definitely Google Maps that shit. Like Begness Lake in Nepal, special spot. And we're like, we just like rent a bunch of rooms in a guest house, and we like create our own little retreat. And so what would it look like? It's like maybe we only meditate for, I don't know, 4 hours a day or something like that instead of 10 hours, you know? And maybe we only do silence, you know, from when we wake up until after we finish our midday meal. And then the rest of the day, it's like we're able to like hang out and chat with each other. And like, you know, we created some parameters of like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we just did a little bit of a different twist on this, but like gave ourselves some opportunity to practice. Long story short, the guy that I met in that cafe who just happened to have this idea, turns out that he was like super manipulative, and it like turned into this like really crazy toxic thing, you know, that like a bunch of us all like left halfway through because we were like, fuck this guy, like this is so like horrendous, and it was like crazy.
No,
it was so crazy.
What?
Cafe guy.
And so I'll sort of like leave it at that right now, but that was a very eye-opening thing that like I guess like what can you learn from that is just that people use these like vulnerable spaces that you can get into through meditation in unsavory ways. It's like people are manipulative sometimes, you know? And so if you're going to put yourself into that kind of like really vulnerable space, you got to make sure that the surroundings, that the container is really tight, you know, and like trustworthy. But anyway, that was my entrance into meditation. And I like experienced what it felt like to like sit for an hour. I had never done that before. And I was like, okay, word. And so then myself and a few of the people that all like left together, we decided to just keep that practice up. And so we would meet every morning and sit for an hour, and I was like, wow, like this is really
In silence?
Yeah. And that was really powerful. And so then it was like a few months after that then I was like, okay, I want to do a Vipassana, and I went and sat for the 10 days, and that was the beginning of me like really committing to a daily practice. So that was probably like 6 or 7 years ago now. And what I said to myself at that time is, like, it doesn't matter how long I sit for. What matters is that I do it every day.
Yes.
And that was like the thing that I really committed to. Yes. That was like, some days my mind is like doing all kinds of crazy things and I can only sit for 5 minutes. It's like other times, usually these days I'll sit between like 20 minutes and half an hour. That's normally, that's where I'm at right now,
Yeah, I like the 20-25. Because generally, if I don't get to 20, I don't really get to where my ideal starting place would be.
Close to them.
My ideal baseline would be.
Interesting.
Yeah, but anything is better than nothing.
Yeah.
For me, like sometimes if I wake up at 5, I do the snooze a couple times, and then I only got 5 minutes before I got, you know what I mean? Got to
Sure.
do that 5er.
Sure.
Before you head out into the day.
Totally.
Yeah, the 5er can be tricky.
It's
still.
better than nothing,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is.
not quite enough for a full day.
No.
I like the 15.
It's true.
The 15 treats me right.
Nice.
But you know what? I don't think I've ever sat for an hour. I can't be 100% sure, but I definitely haven't sat for an hour in silence. And that just felt like when you said that out loud, it felt like a yes inside my body. So I'm going to make time to sit
do
in
that.
silence for an hour.
Yeah. I mean,
At some point
honestly,
in the
like,
rest-
I feel like it's the hour mark where some really, like, noticeable magic happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it than that, but it's like the times that I have managed to, like, really just sit for a full hour, like, no moving, just like bang, yeah.
It sounds like I feel
It's
excited
crazy
for
powerful.
that experience.
It's super powerful, but it's like it takes like a crazy amount of discipline. It's so hard.
Oh my God.
It is so hard, and it's like you got to work your way up to that too. In my experience, like it's like when I've gone to like these meditation retreats and stuff, the first day it's like, yeah, maybe you're like you got lots of gusto. You're like, all right, like this is gonna be great. I'm gonna do this thing.
Meditate.
And then in that first hour, there's this like, what have I done? It's like, oh God, what have I done to myself? It's like I have 10 days of this coming up. Like, how am I gonna make it? Like, oh my God, because it's hard.
Yes.
It's just you're just facing the mirror with nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
goodness.
It's like you're just looking at yourself in a way that we often don't, right?
Can you dance for yourself in your head? Like, do you like? I feel like I would just start freestyling. I would just start vibing. Do you start writing lyrics? Like, also, we haven't touched on your music as well. But
I
like,
definitely like have like yeah for sure.
You singing to yourself?
I get super like creative in my mind in those stretches for sure.
you're a very creative guy, man. There's some video of us playing shows like a decade ago in
Yeah.
Toronto, and you're
Long time
rocking
ago.
bass like you'd think that you're a full-time bass guy. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things you do. You fucking you sing beautifully in a very jazzy, soulful way. Like, I'm just like, what? That's how you be doing shit? And yeah, and you play the guitar like just the funkiest groove pocket like there is, man. Like, it's so nice. Like, your relationship with music, when did that start? Sorry to shift gears. I know we should probably
No.
do more mindful talk.
all
but-
good. I mean, I sort of imagined that that's what this
Yeah.
was going to be, is that you're just
Kind
going to
of.
be like, and what about this? And
Yeah.
what about that? And what do you think about
Yeah, we're just taking inventory on Erik's process.
Yeah,
and his
for
life.
sure.
Cause so fun. We met each other in the scene, like,
Yeah.
kind of like
So like
Regal Road. Shout out Regal Road. Sorry.
big ups. When I believe I was 7 years old, and my mom used to go driving around Rosedale, the rich neighborhood in Toronto,
Yeah.
on garbage day to see what people were throwing away. She would just go back and forth on the streets, so she would like.
I did that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she would drop me off at school and then go and just see what was up, And she used to come home with like antique furniture and like nice stuff that people were just putting on the curb. And And one day she came home with this beautiful Yamaha classical guitar. Turns out it was from the factory in Japan that burned down in 1975. So it's like at least pre-75. Like really nice guitar. Like beautiful tones, super resonant. You know, it was like, it wasn't like a fancy guitar, but like Japanese craftsmanship at that time was like really top notch, right?
Yeah.
Like they were just putting care in a way that maybe, you know, if it had come from another factory in the world, it wouldn't have been the same, right?
Wow.
You know, and so it was a good find. It was really lucky. And she came home and she was like, hey, do you want to start taking guitar lessons? And, you know, like, thank God I said yes. Because I was young, you know, I was like in grade 2 or grade 3, something like that. Like,
That's such a great time
Yeah.
to learn.
Yeah.
'Cause you're such a sponge. Did you take to it right away, or were you like, fuck this?
so I didn't
what I do with
practice
piano.
for years, but every time my mom would ask, do you still want to keep on taking lessons? I would say yes. And so she had me doing, you know, that like half an hour once a week. And I mean, I just stuck with that so that by the time I got into like, I guess like high school, junior high maybe, like around that time, and I started to like realize that I actually liked music, if that makes sense. Like it like took me time because I'm an only child, and so I didn't have like big brothers or sisters to be like, listen to this, listen to that. Like I just like, I don't know, you know, my parents would put on music sometimes, but I didn't have a sense of like what my taste in music was yet. And then when it started to develop, I already had years of like just muscle memory built in from, you know, doing that half an hour once a week,
Yeah.
at least, at minimum. Sometimes I would practice, but not much, you know. I wasn't
Yeah.
super motivated until I like realized what I liked and what I wanted to sound like. And then it was like blast off, and I had this
Create.
like running start, you know. And so it wasn't, I was past the awkward stage and like could actually start to do it, you know. And so yeah, like high school was when that started to ramp up, and then
That's lovely.
when I went to university, that was the first time that I like met people that encouraged me to improvise, and so I started like exploring music and like jamming with people. My first band I was ever a part of was called Playground, and our whole thing was that we didn't have any songs. We would just jam, and they, you know, like in retrospect, they were like very self-indulgent, like 2-chord, 15-minute long jams, you know, that like. But we were learning, we were having fun, and we were having a great time, and yeah, it was groovy, and so people would come to our shows and dance, and like, you know, it was so fun, right? And that like really was foundational for me, like improvisation and like learning that like music can be a way that I express myself. It's not just about learning something that someone else did or someone else said. It's about like figuring out like what I have to say, right? And I know that you can relate to that for sure, you know? Yeah, and then some years later, wow. Okay. Well, I can bring a whole other like realm of my musical journey into this thing. Like when I was in junior high in grade 8, so I would have been like 13 or something like that. I had my first performance on stage singing and playing guitar. It was like my school put on a sort of coffee house event or something, like a talent show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, okay, so, you know, I'm going to like learn a song and play and sing on my guitar. And I was on stage in front of the whole school in the auditorium playing Closing Time by Semisonic. You know?
Yes.
Right?
How old were
And
you?
I was like 13, something like that. And halfway through, I forgot the words.
Oh no.
And I stopped and I like said like shit into the microphone.
Oh no.
And the whole school starts laughing.
Erupting with laughter.
And then they close the curtains on me.
Oh, Eric.
And that shit traumatized the shit out of me.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And so fast forward back to where we're at, like I'm like playing in these bands in university. I end up joining a band like after I graduated. We like went on tour across Canada. We like, played a lot of music, but I never sang. I was like terrified of singing in front of people because of this really traumatizing experience I had of like sharing my voice. And
can I tell you my talent show trauma experience?
Yes, but there's more to this story.
Okay.
So can we loop back before I lose the train of thought?
Yeah.
So after all of this like playing music and like really like identifying as a musician, there came this moment where I realized like, it's like, but if I'm not playing bass in a band, then it's like I don't actually have anything to stand on. It's like I want to be able to like play for me and like be able to stand on my own 2 feet and like, it's like when people say, hey, you're a musician, play a song. There was this part of me that was like, I want to be able to do that, But I felt so blocked up about it. So when I was 24, I went on my first solo travel journey to South America and had a very life-changing experience in many different ways. A lot of the things that I learned at that time became like big parts of my life later on. Like I started speaking Spanish. I just lived the last 4 years in Mexico. I started making macrame, which is this like jewelry art form, which then became like my business and source of income for about 6 years. Like
which is
previous.
so cool.
And I went and did a bunch of ceremony in the jungle and unlocked my voice. And that was like when I started singing again and when I started writing songs and like embracing my expression through music in a new way, And I would say that that's like one of the ways that feels most like close to home.
Are you saying that you found a message?
No,
Like
I
your
feel
core
like
intention?
I found the confidence to express the message that was there. Yeah.
So you feel like you always had a core intention, but you just didn't build the medium of the craft enough to express it? Or
I feel like
you just didn't take that leap to stand in front of people and profess it?
Well, I was just scared. I was scared because I had had this like traumatizing experience. And so I just convinced myself that my voice was bad and it wasn't safe. That it wasn't safe for me to sing in front of people,
But that's bullshit.
Of course
Yeah.
it is. But, we tell ourselves all kinds of bullshit things, my friend.
So when you did this ceremony in the jungle and you say you found your voice, like, that was through
Unlocked.
Unlocked, yeah. I love
the
that you
word.
used that.
Yeah.
This was through plant medicine?
So I had been I sat in a lot of ceremony with ayahuasca when I was there, and this was a long time ago now. This was like 14 years ago or so.
This keeps evolving.
Yeah, and that was a big time in my life, and it was really, I struggled like crazy with those ceremonies. This was before I had any experience with meditation or any of that.
Right.
And it was just like looking at all the discomfort. Like people have all kinds of experiences with ayahuasca. The experiences that I had with ayahuasca was like not visual, not really hallucinatory, not out there, anything like this. It was like very embodied and very uncomfortable. Like basically I would just have these challenging emotions bubbling up to the surface. Resentment, fear, frustration, jealousy, like all these like really hard feelings, and then I would just puke them out, and it was like this for
purging one.
hours and hours, for days. I sat in about, I believe it was 7 ceremonies over the course of like 2 months, most of them over the course of like a few weeks, and then
Wow.
like peppered like 1 or 2 on either end of that experience. But like I was like really trying to like heal some things in my life that I recognized were like challenges for me, but that I felt lost in. And
They were holding you back.
Great initiative.
Yeah, to actually challenge yourself to go do that, that's the work, bro. That's Earth. We're in a spirit in Earth School learning how to manifest through focus. And how the fuck are you gonna manifest through focus when the pipe is clogged with our own bullshit, our own bias, our own pain?
Can I
Good
ask you?
job, bro. Congrats.
Thank you.
Because when I was in my mid to late 20s, I think it's when I first started realizing that I had a lot of deficiency in my throat chakra. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm visualizing this purge, right? And how it comes through the throat chakra and how that's so intense. Like, did you have any, like, interaction with your energetic body through that
So
space?
at that time,
You can, yeah.
it was very just like almost like the word gory is coming to mind. Wow. It was just like oh, like bad feeling, blah, puking, like blah, feeling gross,
Just-
fetal position on the ground, like oh, like this is terrible, like feeling sorry for myself, blah, blah, more negative emotion coming out, blah, puking it all up, like it was just like whoa, like so hectic, so hard, and so at the end of that like string of ceremonies, something in me just went like, okay, like I've had enough. It's like I've put myself through enough of this. Like this is brutal. Like it's time to go. And so there was this one other girl that I met there that was at the same center. She was like, I'm going to go to Iquitos, which is really cool, largest city in the world that you can't access by road. So to get there from where we were, there was a boat that went up one of the tributaries of the Amazon River and then eventually connects with the Amazon. And Iquitos is like sitting there on the Amazon right before it splits off into a few different river like tributaries. And,
Hey, Eric, cool
yeah.
life, bro.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm going to go to Iquitos. And I was like, let's go. You know, I was like, I've had enough. Let's get out of here. And so that day we like went down to the river dock and there are all of these big boats. They're like 4 stories. So crazy. You go in, the bottom floor is all livestock and like bags of grain, right? Then the next floor is all just people set up hammocks, like hundreds of hammocks, row by row by row, and that's like your spot for this journey, right? Then next floor up, more hammocks, right? And then like a couple
What are they tying the hammocks to?
to like the railings, you know, in the boat. It was
How
like
close
design
were these together? It was
like
too close?
very close.
Like smelling distance?
oh yeah.
Oh, no!
Big time. This is in the Peruvian Amazon, where like you know, personal space is a different thing
There's
from
no
what we're used to. You know,
there's no
like,
bitch made attitudes there.
so then
Sorry,
like
I used that word.
top floor, there's 2 private rooms that you can rent out.
Sorry, I just said
2
that's
private
what-
rooms. Then there's some bathrooms, and then there's like crates full of like toilet paper and chips. You know, and this is like what they're bringing to all these little towns up and down these river
Wow.
tributaries, right? Because like the thing about the Amazon is that there's like heavy rainy season and then a dry season, right? In the rainy season, the water level comes up so high from all the rivers that it like floods vast regions, which means that you can't actually build roads in these places because like half the year those roads are going to get so flooded that they just won't be there the next
Yeah.
time that the water comes down. And so that's why a lot of these places you can only get to them by boat. Right? So
That's
so
fucking
this
wild.
boat that transports you to this place, it also drops off supplies in
Yeah.
all these little towns up and down the river.
They can't
right?
waste no time.
What's that?
They can't waste time.
No, exactly.
We gotta
It's
hit
like
2
it's like
birds with one
exactly.
4 birds with one
It's
stone.
like if they're going there, then they're gonna bring the supplies, right?
Do you know what type of chips they have on those premium?
Oh man.
places?
So it's funny
Miss
in
Vicky's?
Peru like. So the Andes in South America, that's the original place that potatoes come from, right?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And so they
Didn't know
had
that.
all these potato chips that had like, you know, like the like mountain Andean like indigenous like potato farmer guy's face on the bag, you know,
cool.
and he's like, you know, he's like got his like potato and his hat, and he's like making a face for the photo, you know, and this is
dope.
like, these are the chips that you get in Peru, right?
Oh, that's great. So some local fire.
I mean, yes, but it was funny because it like looked like Lay's. It was like same branding as Lay's, but it's this, you know. And so I was never really clear on like if it was actually Lay's, just like branding for those
Right.
people, or like what's going on there, you know.
No, it's probably like they're like, this works. Like, let me copy
Yeah.
this and just.
Looks familiar for the tourists.
Yeah, hard to say. I would love to go back and look that up. But anyway, that's what chips are like in Peru.
Did they taste like Lay's?
They kind of did. That's the thing, you know.
And Lay's are distinct.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
Little
this is
bit
also a
greasy.
long time ago, so hard to say, you know.
Can't eat just one.
But I was eating them. But okay, so we're on this boat.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been a circuitous journey.
It always is.
Yo,
Guess who's the stoners?
I just said, I love it.
Wait,
So
you didn't rent
so we
the
get
room?
onto this boat. What's that?
You didn't rent the room?
No.
The private room?
No, but this is the funny thing. So we set up our hammocks, me and this friend of mine. I go upstairs to use the bathroom, and I meet these two girls that are there on this boat. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, it's like, you know, when you're a traveler in these places where, like, it's like at that time my Spanish was shit. So if I meet anyone that speaks English or anyone who looks like a traveler of some sort, there's like immediate camaraderie, you know? It's like, oh, cool. We're like in this together in this like foreign land, right? And so, so I meet these two people, this one woman from Turkey and another one from Finland. And I was like, cool, like, you're both, like, really nice people. I was like, great, nice that we've got friends on this boat ride, because the boat's going to take 5 days to get us there, right? And so it's like, word, cool. You know? So I go downstairs, and I say to my friend, I just met these really two girls upstairs. And she's like, oh, my God. And she, like, runs screaming up the stairs. And I was like, what? And I go up. Turns out they knew each other. They met. So she met one of them in Brazil, and she met the other one in India. You know,
What?
This is like traveler,
Wow.
like circles. It's amazing how many times I have met people on the other side of the world from where I met them previously. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's
that makes sense.
My
it's
God.
pretty
It's
cool.
like part
but
of your culture.
It's a type of person.
traveler culture.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
higher
But
odds.
at that time, I didn't know that. It was my first time ever traveling alone. I was like, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like, what are the odds? Who are these people, you know? And so they had the private room. So they were like, yo, if you want to leave your bags in our room, you're welcome to do that. So we were just chilling up there all the time. Eventually, we took our hammocks up and put them up outside their room on the top floor, and that was our spot. And we were just chilling for those 5 days.
You married up.
Exactly.
Yo!
Good work.
So this woman from Turkey, she played the flute beautifully. She had a beautiful singing voice. She like played in a reggae band back home. I had just come from like 2 years of like playing in this like dub hip hop soul band, and we had like traveled around Canada playing in this band. Big ups to FM Hilo. And so we connected on some of these like old classic like roots reggae tunes that that I had been listening to, like living in this music for the last little while. And so I started singing with her. And that's the thing. It's like we were just hanging out in the hammock on this river,
After you're purging.
singing music with each other. And I remember there was this moment that will always stay with me where I just said to myself, like, let this be a turning point for me. It's like, this feels so good to play and sing. It's like, why am I afraid of this? I don't want to be afraid of this anymore. And that's it. And I just said to myself, it's like, I do this now.
Yo!
You know? And
Cheers, bro.
and
Fuck
that
yeah.
was like really
Fuck.
one of the biggest gifts that this life has ever given me. And you know, it's crazy. It's like
Title of the
talking about
episode.
this right now is, you know, we were talking about earlier how I've been feeling like disconnected from my music. It's just like a nice reminder that like this shit is important for me, you know? And I guess like
Yes.
even if it ebbs and flows, like it'll always be there. It's like
Yeah.
I never want to let it slip through my fingers, you know?
We had a comedian on the show yesterday, and he said something about jokes that hit me really hard. He was like, you do your new joke and your new bit, and then you take it out, and you're in this honeymoon phase with it, and you enjoy it. Like, it feels good in your body, and the audience is connecting. And then one night, you hit every note the same, and for some reason, it's just not there. He's like, that's when you let go. You let go of that. And he's like, it'll come back. You have it, but like, you've worked it to a point where you just need to find a refresh. So
Totally.
I think same with everything, you know, like it's okay that it goes up and down. If you were like in it forever, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either, but
I really relate to that, like, particularly it, like, in the context of, like, songs, or, like, you're talking about a bit, but it's, you know, a performance piece, let's say. Like, it's crazy. It's like, yeah, like, certain songs, like, I think what happened for me recently is that I just, like, went to play one of my songs, and it just felt so stale. It felt like I was like, well, you know, like it was just like, oh, like that didn't feel good, and it really kind of like shook me in a way, because I had come to a place where like playing my music felt so good. It's like these last couple of years in Mexico, I really settled into like a new space in my music that felt really like nourishing for me and really good. And then I like came to Toronto after not living here for so many years, and I like played a show, and it just felt like bleh. And I was like, fuck, like I haven't felt that in so long. And it really like kind of rocked me, you know? And
big transition you made though.
Big time.
You know?
But it was a good reminder that like, you know, like, I don't know, what I'm feeling now as I'm talking about this is that maybe there's just a part of me that like, that needs to match the vibe of this place and who I am here.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's
Your
like
lyrics,
I was trying
yeah.
to bring my Mexico vibe to
Yes.
Canada, and it's different here, you know?
You have to resonate. You have to find that honeymoon state that Winnie mentioned, that Nitish mentioned yesterday. It's like I learned this from performing like in other places where they don't speak English. And it's like they didn't even know what I was saying, and I was freestyling, and they loved it. And it's because I was excited. It was just watching the excitement of like
Right.
the band getting passed out solos, and like me like making a joke and laughing at it myself. They were like, "That's fucking funny." Like, I don't know what he's saying, but that's, but, you know what I mean? Like that. Basically, some people, I said it's okay. Some people who speak English feel like that too. Like, meaning like I talk too fast anyway, and they miss it. But like
Yeah.
when it's like when the lyrics matches like the heart, when the head and the heart are in like the coherency together, and you can like offer that energy in the you now, that's totally it. I think that's gonna bring the excitement, because you have such a beautiful instrument, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And you're playing your
Thanks
looper.
for using it.
Yeah,
Well, the looper is like such a fun little game.
that's the word.
Game?
Fun.
Fun. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Totally. But you were going to say something, no? No, maybe not. Okay.
I don't know.
I felt like there was something that was about to happen there. But
She said thank you for using your instrument.
Oh yeah, and for like doing healing work.
Becoming aware. So you're gonna write new stories now that you can perform. Basically, you got to tell from your perspective now.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing about songwriting, and I know that like you have like entirely the opposite feeling about it probably from me, but I've always felt that like with songwriting, like I can't force it. It's like it's just like it comes when it comes, and
I agree with that.
It's like when it arrives, you got to catch the wave and ride it, you know. But like, it's like I don't know. It's if I sit down and I'm like I'm gonna write a song, it doesn't really go
That's
anywhere,
corny.
and it sort of makes me feel bad. Honestly, you know?
That's like starting a date by saying we're gonna get married. That's on a first date. Like that's what artists like. They think it's like okay, it's like homework. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
you're with
I
God
mean,
anyway.
Word. I made that assumption about your relationship with music because you released
a world record.
music video a day last year or something, or a
In
couple of years ago?
2018.
Everything's last year when you get to be our age.
I
You
know.
But yeah.
I think though, because I agree, most of the time when I'm writing a song or when I'm writing a bit, it comes to me when I'm in like a state of like freedom and flow. So often on my bike, often in the shower, often on walks. Like that's when my bits will come.
Interesting.
And now I will stop and write them down because you're right. If I say like, oh, I'll remember it when I get out of the shower, like that, it doesn't. It's
No,
gone.
totally.
And I had to break my heart so many times thinking I would remember a joke and then having it be gone.
Right. So while you're showering, do you just like step out, grab the phone, and just
Yeah,
record
I
it right
do.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Word.
It's just because I don't sit down and write every day. So
Right.
this is, and I wonder if I made a practice of sitting down and writing every day and getting through that discomfort, because I agree, it does make me feel shitty too when I do try and write something and it's like, yo, this is shit.
It's like pulling
this is-
teeth,
Never
right?
try to write anything.
Yeah.
terrible.
Well, I mean, Jerry Seinfeld would disagree.
No, but he has his perspective already engaged with like the flow of joke writing, so he doesn't have to try. He just means focus for a while, like sit down to record, but don't worry about writing the whole song before you do that.
Yeah,
Or
but I
like-
think that you've sat down and you can like come up with something that's still fire, even if it's not something that's like diarrheaing
always.
out of you.
But I have to get to the point where it's diarrheaing, or else it's no fun. So I won't do it. I've scrapped whole pages. I'll actually destroy it.
Wow.
Like if I write something out of head and ego only, I'm like, you piece of shit, you're emulating 50 Cent. Get out of here. Like I'm like, until
You're gonna be letting 50 Cent down? Is that what you said?
I said you're emulating. Yeah, actually that too. I also use that perspective. It's like, would you spit this in front of M? Like,
Word.
would you spit this in front of someone who you idolize? I'm like, oh, well, get the fuck out of here then. Why do you expect this person to like you if you don't think he would like you? Anyway, I don't know. This became about me again. Hello.
Hey, you're here too. It's
Yeah.
all good.
I'm just kidding.
You're in the room.
I'm kidding. No,
I don't even.
So be kind to yourself.
How's your relationship with the internet?
Right. That.
You're such a wordsmith. I just wanted to remind you. We have a track sitting
you.
on it. Yeah.
What's
your
my
re-
relationship with the internet? The internet's a strange place. it's a wild, wacky,
answer.
confusing place. Okay, I'm just gonna come out straight up and say it. I am like 100% addicted to my phone. Big
thank
time.
you for your
for
honesty.
sure.
Thank you.
And I hate it, but it's like, but it challenges me so much. Like I spend way too much time on my phone.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's shocking.
we've
you-
all got our vices,
Are
right?
you on social media or are you on like YouTube and shit? What's the?
I'm on Instagram. I'm like playing chess on my phone. I'm like checking my fucking
It
emails,
can
even
do
though
so
there
much.
isn't a dot. Like it's like I don't know. It's like I'm doing whatever the fucking phone thing is that you do. You just go on and you just
Yeah.
like, you know, like scroll through your different things, your locations that you go on the phone. You
Yeah.
know, and
You're right.
it's like I don't know. We all have a different version of it, but the phone is designed to make you do that, right?
Yeah.
That's like the whole fucking. I don't know, the the sort of horror of it is that it's like designed to like fuck with your dopamine
Yeah.
and like make you crave it, right? And so I am I mean, I don't want to say I'm a victim of it, but in many ways I am, you know? But I also would like to empower myself to say that like I make the choices, right? But it's hard. It's got a hold on me at the moment, you
Yeah.
know? So that's the first thing that comes up when I want to talk about like my relationship with the internet. But like, I also feel like, I mean, the internet is an amazing thing. It's an incredible tool. It's literally like it has given us access to like collective consciousness in a way that we have never had before. And I mean, that's wild. It's like I can just pick up the thing and ask it anything, and it will give me some kind of intelligible answer about it. It'll probably give me like a whole bunch of different perspectives on that topic. Although now this gets into like weird algorithm stuff where like maybe it doesn't give me certain perspectives on it, which is like dangerous, I feel, but that's a whole other conversation.
Structuring biases. from,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what
And just
they
like global
exchange.
manipulations and things like this is
For sure.
yeah.
BlackRock. Anyway.
Yeah, it's but I think it is an amazing tool.
ChatGPT, though.
I mean, wild.
You can ask it some
Wild.
pretty deep questions, and it will give you a pretty resonant frequency, like, this is truthful answer. So it's like it's scrubbing the internet for, like, the premium intelligence on something.
Right.
Like the Google search engine format basically expanded into, like, infinity because it's continuing to learn through its inquiries. So through us asking its questions, it's learning how we phrase and what we want.
It's wild.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, AI is a wild thing.
Have
Like,
you
it's
played
crazy
with
to
it?
think that that it's now.
It's now.
It's like we've made
Whatever
it to the future,
we
you know?
can think about will be created.
Yep.
I mean, and that's wild because we could go a whole, like, we could go a lot of ways.
I've been watching Westworld recently. You ever seen it?
No, but I know the concept.
My God, what a crazy show! It's really good. I'm like impressed. Like it's like a good TV show.
Yeah.
In a way that like I feel like that shit
Have you
almost doesn't even exist
gotten
anymore.
past
you know?
season 1?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I'm in season 3 right now.
Okay, sick.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard that it gets a little off the rails.
Well, I mean, yeah, like off the rails sounds about right. It's like the concept, the scope of the show has like expanded massively. It's like season 1 is like introducing you to like this whole concept, but it's like only in that one location, and it's like and then now it's like super zoomed out, and it's like the implications of what that seed was that they planted in the first episode. Yeah, it's wild. Anywho,
Technology.
I
No,
don't want to spoil it for people who
Yeah.
maybe haven't watched it, but Westworld, it's fucking dope.
I think that there's a lot of people who are coming up now that are wanting to use the internet mindfully, ethically, if you can use that word. Like, I think there's a reality where the internet keeps serving us in great ways.
For sure. OnlyFans, pay for your porn. Super ethic. I'm agreeing. I agree with you. Support local artists, buy their macrame.
For real, I lived off of the internet. It's true.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
true. I was able to sell my art on Instagram.
Woo!
And live in paradise for years. I did that, because
That
it
feels
just
so
made
good.
the most sense to me at the time,
That's
Yeah.
the dream. That's
but
but
the-
feels good.
Well, but the crazy thing about it is that because I was selling on Instagram, that's like a big part of the reason why it like fell apart, because they switched from photos to reels, right?
Yep.
At that time, I could just make my art, take a nice picture of it, do a little edit, post it on there, and I was getting like traffic. It's like if I would post the photo of something, either somebody would message me to buy that piece, or they would message me about like a custom piece. And so every time that I made something, it provoked the sale of a new piece. And I was getting like a lot of custom orders for that, and it was amazing. It was great,
This is how
And-
you play the internet e-commerce engagement game.
And then they switched it to reels
And-
instead of photos, and I found myself putting way more time and energy into the phone part of the business and getting way less return from it.
Yeah.
And so eventually it was like, this isn't working for me anymore. It's like, I don't want to spend all this time on there. And yet here I am fucking addicted to the phone on there all the time.
Anyway.
It's crazy.
So you might as well have taken those grapes that were a little higher up, but those are like you choose your discomforts,
I guess so.
Wow. That's unique. Yeah, so much fucking discipline goes into this shit. What about just making some nice videos if you could just like twirling it in the sun? And like the replay
Just
value.
twirl it in the sun.
Just
Well, you're
twirl
not-
in macrame?
You're,
I mean, yeah, I was, I figured out my thing. It's like, if anyone wants to check out my jewelry, bloop, bloop, bloop. There's the
Yeah,
there's
what
the
is
thing
the
there.
handle? Spell it.
It's setinstone.macrame.
we'll put it in the description below.
Yeah.
But also, I know some people listen to this driving their cars, and they're just getting the audio version too.
See, this guy knows.
So I'm always
this guy's
like,
on to
set in
things.
stone, spelt normally.
Set in stone, spelt normally. SETINSTONE dot macrame. MACRAME. That's on Instagram.
Dope.
Yeah. Haven't updated the page in over a year, but yo,
Go check it out. No,
go
because
check
really
it out. 'Cause
beautiful
it's,
pieces.
I mean, it's really just like it's like an art gallery at this point. It's just like a space for me to like keep the, the unfolding story that was my jewelry making journey. Right.
I didn't even know you made art that way until one time. I think it was you, me, and Ben Foreign went to Slacka's place.
Okay,
And
yeah.
you made Slack.
Right, and I
shout
made
out
him a
Slack,
necklace.
Child. You made him this beautiful piece, and like he was like so reactive. He's such a kind, awesome, dope dude. Shout out.
For sure.
But he was like, "Wow, this is so special." I'm like, "Yo, what?" I'm looking over at that, and he's like, "What the fuck? Eric made this? Like, this is this beautiful. You use like serious, beautiful art that like feels like very informed.
Interesting.
From like a divine art perspective. Like it's like just like the flow of the shape. So it's like that was special. Like,
I mean, to
like
come
when
back
you
to
moved
what
with
we were
that.
talking
That
about
was a long
before,
time ago.
I've always liked doing things with my hands.
Mm.
It's like it's very good for me to have things like that. Like that's why music is good for me too. It's like doing stuff with my hands. The tea, it's like I like doing stuff with my hands.
You ever
I don't
think
know what
about
to
being
tell
a
you,
massage therapist?
I actually have. I have thought about it a lot because I have like a very like intuitive touch, and I also feel that my hands are like, like one of my greatest tools. And yeah, from playing music, they're strong as well for sure. Like whatever, not to toot my own horn, but I give good massages.
Fuck yeah. Prove it, Eric. No, that's bet. But
yeah,
you gotta deal with a
but
lot
I
of
also
energies.
feel that. Well, that's the thing. There's this part of me that's always been like, but what if I don't want to touch that person
today or yeah.
And if that's my job, this is the thing that's been challenging for me about like making music my job too. Is like, what if I don't feel like singing today? What if I don't feel like playing with this person? What if I don't want to play that music?
You gotta be a pro.
It's like you gotta. Yeah, it's like if you're gonna make your life out of it, then you gotta say yes to things, And
because you find a bigger driving desire than your own preferences.
Sure.
I think that's what it is. It's like these people deserve a good show. I don't care
Interesting.
if this guy in the band right now is an asshole. I'm just gonna like let him play, pay him, and like move on because that's like you gotta sometimes just be a professional.
This isn't tea anymore.
Look at your perfect, amazing process to honesty. And this little bar that happens here.
I really appreciate you bringing this to us today.
It was
Thank you.
It was so nice. Yeah. I mean, I love drinking tea, and so
That was
when there's
that
opportunities
was
to do so,
beautiful.
I'm very happy to do that.
I feel like that's a perfect ceremonious natural close.
Honestly,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's been
word.
a great conversation.
Yeah.
And
I-
I think we could probably keep going
could keep
for
ripping.
literal hours, but
No doubt.
Mama don't got that time today. You
Well,
know what I'm saying?
Maybe I'll just close it with like a brief little shout out that I since being back in Toronto since like beginning of May, early or like mid-April, I've started working at this place called Othership.
Yes,
and
I wanted to
Ellevan, I
bring
should
that
say.
up.
Yeah, came to visit me there. I gave him a pass to come and check it out. But I've recently started serving tea there as well. And Othership is this like really amazing place. It's like contrast therapy, hot and cold therapy. So there's sauna, ice bath, and then we infuse a lot of different elements. And this is where like my like guiding meditations comes in, and like just sort of helping people feel themselves in like more honest ways. And then tea is something that I've been able to like introduce into that space because it's something that I'm passionate about and it fits the vibe. So let's see. We're gonna have to put this in afterwards. But coming up, like I believe next Monday, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be serving tea at the Yorkville location from 2 to 5 for our free flow session, and it's something that's gonna be ongoing. I'm gonna be like setting up this kind of space there as well. So that's cool.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
We can put that info in for future. This will not be out by next Monday.
I'm so glad that you brought that. That was literally in my mind. You felt that thought frequency too. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, once you talk, because we've had like Angelica Skanuch, this comedian on, she talked about Othership. Like, constantly people were like, do you guys go to Othership? And it's like, they just like paint us with that brush that we should be at Othership. And I love that you came through the universe. You're like, hey, I'm at Othership. Because like you, in my heart, I know like you're a real one, you know, and I wasn't sure, so you led me to that experience. You know, it's hard to see through sometimes the millennial hype. Like, you know, you get told the place is cool, but I went there because of your kind invite, and dude, it is so fucking amazing. It feels amazing. Your guidance in the sauna was incredible. The essential oils, like you have these, I don't know if it's proprietary. I don't tell the secret.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I guess dropping snowballs.
It's an ice ball, right?
Yeah, exactly.
With essential oils, and it smashes it, and it's so like therapeutic. The whole process is amazing. The type of smells I'm forgetting right now: lavender, mint, citrus.
I did the 5 senses one.
Oh, word.
Yeah, that's when I got gifted one too. Thanks,
Love
everyone. Yeah, and it
What
was
5
really.
senses?
That's the meditation sort of that they walked us
The
through,
senses
the program
class, yeah.
that they walked us through, and so you got to really, you know, be present with your 5 senses, and they created the experience for that, and it was the best self-care thing I could definitely in Toronto. Like, if you're in Toronto and you haven't tried it yet, you need to go.
Yeah, shout out Othership.
Yeah,
and,
for real.
And also, it's going to challenge you. Like, it's not like, oh, self-care, everything feels easy. Like, that's not the case with ice baths. Or
And
the sauna.
check this out. So actually, for anyone who's never been, I can put the code to get your
Really?
first time for free. Bloop bloop bloop. Put it in the bottom, and yeah, you just use that, and it'll give you your first time for free.
Y'all
So
just got hooked
there you
up.
go. So come check it out.
Hello.
That's such a generous gift. Thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That link, right? That link you sent me.
Exactly.
Okay,
It's
I'll
the same
pop it
one.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wicked.
You're so lucky.
Yeah. So it's like,
It's a vibe. It's a vibe for sure.
do we have any quick science notes about, I mean, like not specifically science, but just like for me, any inflammatory areas in my body, once I did an ice bath and like including when I came to visit that day, it just goes away. It's like there's no specific medical reason. I don't know if there is or there isn't. But like,
There is,
what
actually.
the
Yeah.
fuck? Like it just shrinks it. What's
So okay, so I can speak to this a little bit. I also I'm supposed to know this better than I do. So
Okay, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Sorry, Othership.
And also not a doctor
but-
and stuff.
right,
and
exactly.
Disclaimer.
And you bring a lot to the table besides like
Sure,
data.
you know,
You're-
but what I do know is that it increases the production of what they call cold shock proteins. And I'm not going to try to like pretend that I can explain scientifically why, but what that does is it reduces inflammation in your body, and it's really good for chronic pain. That's like one thing. But to sort of go a little bit deeper into like why I find the cold plunge in particular like very interesting, relates to like what we've talked about with meditation as well. It's like giving you an opportunity to witness yourself in discomfort without needing to react to it, right? So that is fucking hard.
So hard.
the hardest.
It's super
the
hard.
Actual hardest.
But it's like so it's a practice, right? It's not something that you just do once and then you've like got it, unlocked it. You need to like work on this, but it gives you like a safe opportunity to put yourself into a very uncomfortable situation and just observe yourself, right? And without any real threat. That's
Yeah.
the thing, you know?
Yeah.
And to take it even further, like we recommend a certain breathing exercise when you're in that water that will help you regulate your nervous system. And so you're giving your nervous system an opportunity to practice going into a stressed state and then returning to a calm and peaceful place, right? You're like going into the sympathetic, the fight or flight, and then you're bringing it back to the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. And you know, our nervous system, it's like, it's the same as like if you go to the gym and you're working out, right? It's like you do that one time, you're not going to get jacked, right? But you do it a few times a week for a few months, and you're going to start noticing that you're stronger. The same is true with your nervous system. You create that pathway and you repeat it, right? It's like you become stressed, and then you bring yourself back
Regulate.
to peace, and you regulate. And again, you're doing it in a safe environment.
Yeah.
It's like the ice bath is like so good at getting you to that stressed place when you get in there. It's like immediate, like you start hyperventilating, like it's like you tense up, and then in those 2 minutes that you're sitting there, you tune into the breath, you bring yourself back, you like relax your shoulders, and you like allow yourself to return to a peaceful place. And you know, the more that you do it, the more that you just build that as a skill in your life that then becomes like a fucking superpower, right?
Yo, facts. It is transferable. It
Hey,
does
spider
reflect in other
people.
ways. Yo, straight up. Let's bring this back to fuck you, spider people.
Oh my god. It's like spider people, not fuck you, just go take some ice baths, you know?
He's right between
Use the
us.
link below, spider people.
Yeah, exactly.
This has been such a delight.
Yeah, totally.
I
Thank
knew
you so
it
much
would
for inviting
be.
me.
Thank you for
bro.
coming on and
Thank you for blessing us with the tea
sharing
and the
your
energy.
wisdom.
Yeah, super
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Aw.
Yeah, we'll put your links in the description. Go find Erik. Yeah, man, you have so many offerings. I'm excited to see what you continue to bring the world.
We'll have to have you back.
Yeah,
because-
we'll do an update ep.
Yeah.
And
Because there wasn't
Yeah, I
even
feel like
stuff
we have
that
more to talk about
we
for sure.
totally
We have
have-
more things to
Dude, that's
say.
what I
Way
mean. Like,
more to
this
talk
was
about.
kind of just like chapter 1.
Yeah,
Like,
I love that.
Nice little
Yeah.
introductory.
It was awesome.
Bless,
Aw,
brother.
so
Love
nice.
You,
Thank
man.
you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
Appreciate you.
And thank you. For real, take that code. That's a crazy gift.
Yeah, go hit that.
Even if you're not from here, plan a trip to Toronto
Yeah.
and do that. And go
Word.
check out Erik's class. And yeah, subscribe and tell a friend.
Ideally, though, they want the return customer.
That's true.
But you know what? It's okay. They're doing fine. Othership is doing real well.
Forgot
so no
about
worries,
that.
you know?
Good insight.
I'm joking.
They're doing well.
Love you guys.
There's no
Bye.
problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
I gotta go pee.
Welcome to Discipline Stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness. Look deeper.
To think that we started this podcast to fight a stigma, only to uncover so much love that we realized that you can't put your energy anywhere but what you want.
Look deeper.
And what we want is authentic conversation. What we want is quality medicine. What we enjoy is each other.
We get to learn from our guests. Manage the best. I would manifest this.
Part of the magic of the plant is how it uncovers what you've been hiding away.
So much love.
Look deeper. Feel more. Tune in.
So much love. Look deeper.
We're not here to be lazy.
Welcome to Discipline Stoners,
We're not here to distract ourselves.
the gateway drug to mindfulness.
We're here to learn. We're here to grow.